This video is brought to you by patreon.com/worsttake. Get access to exclusive live streams and Discord servers, on-screen shoutouts, and early access to some videos when you join now. Help make sure that we can continue to make content like this by supporting the Patreon. Links are in the description down below. It's not been a good month for Ohio football fans, or at least professional Ohio football. Nah, even if you Ohio State fan, right? I don't think it's been going well down there because old buddy slid with 10 seconds, with 6 seconds left on the game clock. So it's certainly been an adventure here for both teams. Definitely not the start both the Browns and the Bengals came into. Ace, I think this is an interesting game from your perspective because on paper, there's really no reason to think that the Bengals won't be able to win this game. But this is a game that the Bengals have yet to win, right? The Browns at home with Joe Burrow in the Stefanski era. Myles Garrett's still going to be out there, still doing Myles Garrett stuff. He just jumped over some bodies to try to single-handedly put Cleveland back in the win column versus Philadelphia. How do you look at this game, given how Cleveland has looked to start the year, given how Cincinnati has looked to start the year, and given kind of the recent history around this game?
I think everything surrounding this game is irrelevant. Like you just said, it's Cincinnati versus Cleveland. No matter what the records say, it's a very important game for the Bengals and something that they've struggled with. So I don't honestly care like what's going on surrounding it, whether you want to talk about Watson or whatever. Like we've seen these things happen before. We've kind of talked about it, right? So like Cincinnati has been the get right game for the Browns. So I think surrounding this game is like, hey, we thought that we had a one that was kind of trending our way that year, that Baker Mayfield and the OBJ saga. Like there were all of those distractions. We're like, oh, they're not going to be worried about playing us. And we saw how that turned out. So I think for me, I'm just like, nah, I don't care I don't care that Amari Cooper got traded. Like it's Cleveland versus Cincinnati. Cleveland has won the majority of these matchups over the past couple of years. So the way I'm looking at it is just the way that I would look at any Cleveland-Cincinnati game. Like you got to be on point coming into this one.
Yeah, and it just has felt like such an unlucky year for Cincinnati, right? Because even like if you look at like that Baltimore game, it's like, how does that happen, right? Like like there were years, I think the first couple of years where Joe was the full-time starter, like, you know, he didn't get the injury to end the year. It felt like, oh man, the Bengals like this got all the luck in the world right now. Or even the year where Sam Hubbard returned, that was the same. That was 22, right?
Yep, 22. Yep,
22. And it just seemed like the Bengals got these breaks, you know, that they needed. And now this year it's like, oh, now they're on the other side of some of these bad breaks. Your kicker's missing kicks. You know, you're not stopping Lamar when you got him dead to rights a couple times in the backfield. How do you kind of classify this season? Because for the Browns, we can easily go, we're 1-6, our quarterback sucks. For the Bengals, it's not that simple. So like, how do you like get to this? And like, how do you feel coming off that game versus New York?
The game against New York, I'm happy to get the win, but I'm also frustrated because, you know, the way that this offense had been humming, you know, 3 games in a row before this one, it's like, okay, Zach's finally got it together. Like he still struggles on situational awareness, but I know that they can at least score points. And I know that I can't depend on the defense, which is funny in this one. The defense showed up. The offense did not. So a little bit of a mix of, yeah, I'm glad that we got to 2-4, but I'm still frustrated because these are issues in this game that I'm not expecting. And this is a game that you're coming off of where Daniel Jones didn't have Malik Neighbors. Like it's Daniel Jones, no Malik Neighbors. Like, you know, I get it, but I don't. Like their defense, like the New York defense their defensive line is really good, right? But the offense didn't really do much and they still missed 2 field goals. And like it took all of everything for Cincinnati to get out of there with the win. So mixed feelings as regards to the season. Definitely underwhelming for sure. Like it's a weird season. It's a really weird season because Joe Burrow's playing amazing. Like the offense is had its moments where it was a little shaky, but once T. Higgins got back, it was pretty good. And then you kind of look at some of the games, like you just said, you talk about the Baltimore game where things happen. You talk about the Chiefs game, that penalty at the
Oh
end
yeah.
happened. So like it's been a theme of these games that you thought that the Bengals had, they end up losing somehow and they find a way to lose it. And I kind of started getting the same kind of feeling in the Giants game at a certain point. I'm like, look, man, if we do not score another touchdown, like if we didn't have the Chase Brown kind of touchdown there, garbage time touchdown, whatever you want to call it, like that's a serious game. Like if those guys don't miss field goals, it's a serious game. So for me, it seems like the Bengals have just found ways to lose this year. And then it also seems like they lack aggression or they lack assertiveness and they're trying to not lose games instead of trying to win them, which is very Marvin Lewis like some of the things that we've seen, like, yeah, I've seen them before. I'm not no new Bengals fan. Like, I've seen the whole bungle moments where it's like, oh, Bengals find a way to lose this one. We talk about like the Vontaze perfect things and stuff like that, but that was Marvin Lewis era stuff, right? Like, we really haven't seen much of that in the Zach Taylor era. And now we're starting to see it. And to me, like, thinking about some of these games, like the Commanders game, that was just straight up L. Like, the Commanders did their thing in that. The Bengals just didn't score enough touchdowns in that one. And
You
tip
let
my
the fat
hat
guy
to them.
touchdown happen, and once the fat guy touchdown happens, you're not
Yeah,
winning
the
a
fat
game.
guy touchdown
The fat
happens.
guy
It's
touchdown is just a
crazy.
staple. It never happens in like a close game, right? Like you never go to
Fact.
triple overtime and the fat guy scores a touchdown. Like,
Right.
you
Right.
always lose that
So
game in regulation.
yeah, like you said, it's just been weird stuff like that that's going on. Somehow though, they're still alive. I don't even know. Like, it's a weird year, and I was actually talking to a friend over at my son's basketball training. He was like, "It's just been a weird year for the NFL," and I was like, "Kind of has." Like in the AFC, luckily, a lot of guys are kind of squished together, where it's just like one game here, one game there. So luckily, they're still alive, but from this being a season where you thought that you had Super Bowl aspirations, you're going to have regular season aspirations right now just to try to get back in this thing and try to claw your way back into the playoffs. So I think expectations have been lowered for me. And now it's just like, all right, you guys got to dig yourself out of this hole.
One thing that I think has been interesting with Cincinnati to watch this year is just the defense not being where you want it to be at on a regular basis. Um, I think the big issue has been the run defense, right? Like when you look at the Bengals, it's like, can they stop the run? And it's interesting how it happens. Cause like if Derrick Henry doesn't break off a 50-yard, like a 50-yard, what do you call it? Like put the nail in the coffin, basically. Clinches the game with that run.
Yeah.
Then you're probably like feeling much better about that game because you're like, oh yeah, we held Derrick Henry to probably would have been like 3.5 a carry, but he gets that 50-yard run. He ends up getting to about 100 yards. It looks really bad on you, and it's like, do you judge them based off what happened the whole game or the fact that that happened at the end? Like they couldn't hold until the end of that game. You're going in this week playing a Browns team that's getting Nick Chubb back and a team that, look, whether they want to admit it or not, has realized that getting the ball out their quarterback's hands is their best path to winning. They threw Deshaun Watson only 25 times last week. We've looked at those passing totals this year. Sometimes it was 40 for Deshaun Watson. So they have given up on the passing game leading them. Nick Chubb coming back is only going to accelerate that process. What do you think the run defense performance, like what has been the cause of it? Is it linebacker play? Is it just not sufficient enough play in the interior of the defensive line? Are you guys not setting edges? Like, how are you guys getting beat on runs, and what do you think is the root cause of it?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of things. First of all, let's start with the missed tackles. That was something up until recently, like, was out of hand. These guys were missing like double digit tackles. It seemed like every other week. I would also say it's also a mix of them not having a nose tackle. McKinley Jackson, who I kind of talked about before the season, ended up going down during training camp. We didn't even get to see him in preseason, let alone the other myriad of injuries there that you had at the position. You just now got BJ Hill back. 2 weeks ago, you got BJ Hill back. You just now got back Sheldon Rankins. You got Miles Murphy back. So a lot of missed tackles, injuries. And I think one of the issues has been setting the edge. Like, I don't think Sam Hubbard has really been good at doing that this season. And as a result of that, they've kind of swapped him out for Miles Murphy. Miles Murphy is also a pretty good run edge kind of defender, except when you're in the open field against Lamar Jackson, which I mean, everybody struggles with that if we're being real. But the run defense, I don't think the last game it was really too bad. I don't think, like you said, to your credit, in the Baltimore game, I don't think it was bad until the Derrick Henry busting one there at the end. To me, it's just been the missed tackles, injuries, and the defense just isn't really that good. I mean, I'm keeping it a buck. Like, I had concerns about the defense coming into the season. Like, I expected the offense to really carry. And the defense has kind of lived up to those expectations of what people expected in terms of them struggling. I mean, they were a bad run defense last year. They've continued to be a bad run defense this year. The secondary has had questions. So I think also some of that has been Von Bell. Von Bell has looked really bad. And, like, honestly, the last game, they actually split a lot of his snaps with Jordan Battle, and Bengals run defense was a lot better, and they seem to hold up better on the back end with Jordan Battle in versus Von Bell. So they've been doing things with trying guys here and there. They've had injuries even at the corner position when it comes to Dax Hill. They just don't seem to be outside of this last game, like until Mike Hilton had a players only kind of thing, and he's been in and out of the lineup. Like, they just didn't really have an identity on defense. And honestly, I don't think if you're Nick Chubb, you're probably licking your chops to pretty much take off on this defense. I don't know how much he's going to play, but I think that they will definitely be worried about Nick Chubb in this game just because from a run defense standpoint, they've just honestly struggled. So I think that they're getting better. I don't think that they're as bad as they were, maybe 2-3 weeks ago, but they still are not a stout run defense by no stretch. They're not even an average run defense by any stretch of my imagination.
We're going to get to the other side of this matchup, the Browns defense versus the Bengals offense. I do just want to point out that if you are getting closer to 30 or over 30, the new iPhone message beep is the ring wind chimes, right? Because it's like everybody got to check their phone. It's like, is that me? Is that somebody at my door? But let's go ahead and talk about this matchup here. Myles Garrett's been a huge problem for the Cincinnati Bengals. You could draw a straight line to the Bengals' issues with beating the Browns and Myles Garrett doing something incredible versus the Cincinnati Bengals. And I think a lot of that can be drawn back to like the fact that the Bengals like to play in a lot of empty, like to get a lot of wide receivers on the field. I've noticed over the last couple of years more of an emphasis on getting tight ends on the field. Do you think that's going to be enough to kind of alleviate some of these issues that the Bengals have had with containing Myles over the years?
Yeah, I think that that's just their strategy this year. You've seen a lot more 12 personnel, which we don't really see from the Bengals, right? But they've got this rookie and Eric All, who's really good as a dual tight end. He's really good at blocking. He's really good at receiving. And then, of course, you've got Drew Sample, one of my favorite guys, right? But
still there. That's
still
crazy.
There. Still there. They've also done some heavy package stuff where they'll bring in like another extra tackle and stuff like that. I think they made the mistake last week of trusting some of those tight ends to really go against the edge rushers, whereas in previous weeks we hadn't really seen that. It was really more so Amarius Mims, more so Orlando Brown Jr. But you will see them do that. I think you'll see some of those guys like Eric All in the backfield kind of step up to try to help with inside pressure. I think inside pressure has been where they've probably struggled the most. The offensive line, though, I'll say is much better than it's been in previous years. However, this latest matchup that they just had with the Giants, they struggled against stunts. They struggled against a lot of some of those things. It seemed like they always had a free rusher in the backfield in this game. I didn't get a chance to look at exactly what was happening. I know I saw that there was a stunt against Amarius Mims that he got beat on. So I think for the most part, they've been playing clean. Like Orlando Brown Jr., I think, gave up his first sack of the season this last game. Before that, he had a perfect pass block win rate. But right now, I do think that they aren't doing as much empty as they used to. Like, so you'll see empty, but it won't be as much or nearly as much as we've used to. And they're actually using some pistol to run out of and do some things out of. So it's a little different than previous years, but Myles Garrett is Myles Garrett. So the fact that you guys utilize him and move him all over the line, I don't have faith in the Bengals because for some odd reason they never double him. So like I would hope that that's changed, but I don't know until we see them line up Sunday. But I think you're right when you say that Myles Garrett has been the guy that has completely blown up the Bengals offense, and I think that he could be a guy that could blow it up this weekend.
Definitely a lot of fun matchups to watch here. Browns' first divisional game. Is this no? This is your guys' second divisional game because you already played Baltimore. Tons and tons to do. We're gonna talk more about this on AFC North Talk. Make sure you guys check us out there. Ace, thank you for coming on. Appreciate y'all for watching. Hey, where can we find more of you, Ace? Is it just AFC North Talk? You doing New Stripe City?
So AFC North Talk, Cincinnati podcast is where you find majority of that stuff. So every Monday and Wednesday, if you guys want to check out what we had to say about the Browns matchup, you can check that out over there. New Stripe City. I am probably going to be launching some stuff pretty soon here, but it might not just be football. So if you like NBA stuff, all of that kind of stuff, I'm probably have some plans to get that stuff going. And then, of course, on Twitter, I'm always talking all kinds of sports, whether it's AFC North, general football. So you can find me on Twitter at New Stripe City.
Make sure you say subscribe to the AFC North Talk channel where we drop a video for every team every week there too. But again, Ace, thank you for coming on. Y'all have a great day. Have a better night. Peace.